Hi, good afternoon, everybody. How are you all doing today? That's what I'm talking about. It's so great. Because first of all, thank you so much for coming to this talk. My name is Kelsey Morgan. I'm an intellectual property specialist. And today I'm talking with Fisayo Longe about Kai Collective, as we all know, one of the best fashion brands out there.
Thank you. Hello. I like your outfit and your Kai.
That's so amazing. So the first thing I just want to ask to the audience, if it's okay, can I just have a show of hands? Is there anyone here who's a creative or is setting up their own creative business? How many people in the audience? Okay, good. That's great. So definitely, hopefully, Fisayo's knowledge and her experience will really be able to help you guys out today, which is so good. So first of all, let's start off with your story, because I've always felt that you had a very interesting career into how you got into fashion. So do you want to kind of give us all an example of how you got into it?
Yeah, sure. So I started fashion blogging in 2012. I was doing it just for fun. This was in the Tumblr days. And yeah, I was fashion and travel blogging. I started that during my gap year. And then just from that, when I would travel, I love fabric shopping. So I'd go fabric shopping, buy the fabric, get clothes made with the fabric, and then post them on my Instagram, on my blog. And then people would always ask where I got the clothes from. And that inspired me to start my brand, because I was like, oh, if people are interested in the clothes, then I could actually start a brand. And also, as a content creator, I enjoyed it, especially because when I first started, it was a hobby. I didn't know that I could make any money from it. But I did not like the fact that I had to rely on brands like believing in me to be able to make money. I wanted to build a career that I could control and I could put more of myself and my creativity into, and that inspired me to start Kai. But in between that time, I set out to be an accountant. I worked at KPMG for about 3 years. Before that, I wanted to be a lawyer. So it's been quite varied, and now I find myself here.
Well, that's such an interesting story. I just want to know, in terms of going from an accountant and then going into fashion, how was that for you and your family? Because I know for a lot of us, maybe going into that, saying to our parents, I want to be a fashion designer, might not have gone down very well.
Yeah, to be honest, my parents are very, very supportive. I would consider them quite liberal. But I was at KPMG and was doing the ACA, so on my way to being a qualified chartered accountant. And I wanted to pull out of the graduate scheme to go and start a fashion business. And to be honest, I didn't really have the skills or the qualifications to do so. So now I think back, I totally understand why my mom was worried. Like, I get it. She had every reason to be. But then my parents have just always believed in me, and I'm also quite stubborn. Like, I'm very clear that this is my life. And so I just said, you know what, I'm going to do this with or without your support. And I would like if you supported me, but either way, I'm going to do it. And then they just kind of got on board.
Okay, that's interesting. Sorry, I'm just thinking back to, with other families and stuff, what would they have said? But one thing I would like to say, though, is that it definitely did work for you. We've seen you were on the Forbes 30 under 30. You were in Beyonce's business directory. You also have had your designs worn by Patricia Bright, Melissa Wardrobe, Jackie Aina, Sweetie. But I would say, though, even though we've seen the accolades and what's come out of it, which has been amazing, also, though, where has the issues happened within your business, just in terms of starting it? Were you still working at the time, or or did you just go straight into it? Obviously, during COVID as well. How was it for you in terms of business at that time?
Starting and running Kai is the most difficult thing I've ever had to do, and the difficulty started right at the beginning. So to start Kai, I needed about £8,000, and an uncle had committed to loaning me the money, and at the last minute he pulled out. So right from the beginning, everything about it has just been difficult, from like getting the money to start it, finding manufacturers. And I've actually come to the conclusion that as much as I'm a designer and the CEO of Kai Collective, I'm essentially just a problem solver. I find that being a founder is just a problem-solving exercise, and it's taken me a long time to figure that out, and I only accepted it last year, but every single day there's a new issue, and sometimes I actually think that the issue is going to take us out completely. I mean, last year, we lost a shipment that was worth over £120,000.
Oh, wow.
Mysteriously, 8 months later, it turned up in August. For 8 months, it was missing. We thought it was gone. And it's just interesting how when those issues arise and you think that, like, this is it, like, how can we recover from this? Somehow, you just find it in you to keep going. And yeah, but essentially every day is a new problem. Many, many tears every day.
I definitely can agree with you on that one, especially with me setting up my own business. That's literally what I have. I'm at the very early stages, so it's nice to see how far you've come with yours. It's something definitely to aspire to.
Thank you.
But I would like to ask, there's one thing, as an intellectual property specialist, you know I'm going to ask about the legal side, especially with fast fashion. I mean, how have you been able to navigate that? How have you dealt with those challenges? And is there anything that you think now, looking back on it, that maybe you would have changed?
Yeah, so we have had issues with like our intellectual property and copying, and I'm sure a lot of you would have heard about them, and like if you follow me, you would have seen us taking legal action against certain businesses. Not going to say anyone's names because it's been sorted out and I'm not really allowed to. And I mean, I don't regret any of that. Like, it was settled, you know, we got compensation for it. Some of it has also happened behind the scenes, and we've got compensation behind the scenes. But I've actually come to the realization that the fashion industry is based on like copying generally, and not just fast fashion brands. It's everyone taking inspiration from each other. And I'm happy that we protected our print, our Gaia print, which we're most known for. So we got trademark protection, and I would advise anyone to do that. Unfortunately, you can't trademark designs, but you can trademark prints. However, if I could go back, I don't think that I would have spent so much of my energy fighting legal battles over it, just because I've realized that that's what the fashion industry is based on. And I think that as a small brand, it wasn't the best use of my time or resources to try to go after like these big brands that had such big budgets and like could squash us in a second, if I'm honest. So I don't regret it. I've learned, but you won't see me on Twitter or anywhere calling out a brand for copying us, I don't think, because as a small brand, I just think that it's best to spend my time on just improving my brand, just because realistically, they have the resources that we don't have to challenge them legally if they really felt like, you know, going up for a fight.
God, that's so true. I think you've given us some really great insights. I'm a bit upset right now because I brought my notebook without a pen, so I can't write any of this stuff down. But I definitely understand this thing about choosing your battles, especially when it comes to business. And I guess that with your business, you've had to make so many, the decisions that you've had to make have been kind of hard at times. I'm just wondering, though, how has that worked for you, especially in terms of delayed gratification? Have you had to change your mindset in terms of your business? Like, I'm just thinking from when you first started the business and kind of where you see yourself now, do you think there's anything kind of that has changed or that you might want to look at?
Yeah, I think a lot has changed. When I first started Kai, I was very naive, and I'm grateful for that. I had so much confidence, which I still have, but I didn't realize how difficult it would be to start a business, a fashion business, a product business. And because I didn't know how difficult it was going to be, I was able to just start. Like the night before we launched, I thought I was going to be rich the next day. Like I was on Rightmove looking for the property in Maidaville that I was going to buy the next day. I still haven't bought a property in Maidaville, but my point is that I started with so much optimism, so much confidence, and quite ignorant. And I'm really, really grateful for that, because that gave me the fire and the courage to pursue things that if I had all the knowledge, I wouldn't have. I also started, you know, like in the end, my mom helped me She loaned me £8,000, but I didn't have like huge investment. Everything is bootstrapped. Now the business pays for itself. It's what we sell that goes into the business. I haven't taken any external investment. And if I realized how difficult it was going to be, I might have thought, oh, I don't want to start till I take, till I can raise blah, blah amounts of money. I'm really glad that we haven't done that, because it's given me the opportunity to build the business of my dreams, like one that my heart really resonates with, which I think when it comes to like raising money and VCs, sometimes it's a conflict with what you really want, because they need you to grow as quickly as possible. And I'm glad that I haven't had to grow Kai that way. But if I knew how difficult it would be, I might have waited to do that. And what else has changed? I just realizing how difficult it is to make money, honestly. But also I have like a newfound appreciation for every sale that we get, and just all the customer engagement and the real community that we've built. I've realized that what you really need to build a successful product brand is a community that believes in you and fuels you. And I didn't realize that much at first.
That's actually a really great point, actually, because I was actually going to get onto my last question I had for you, was to ask about, especially with black business owners, setting up our own businesses, how important is it to have that community? Because I do feel like for us, I think especially through social media, I feel like, as we all know, Black Twitter is very, very powerful, and just Black social media in general. But I was wondering, how did you use that technology kind of in terms of creating your business, and also as a Black business owner, how have you been able to get that community together to help further your business in the way that you have?
It was all organic. Because I had a blog, I was sharing my life, my thoughts, my opinions. And so I've just attracted women like me, women who believe that women should be able to do whatever they want. We have a very kind of feminist community, and it's like, if you know, like a Kai girl is a girl that does whatever she wants, knows that she can achieve anything, very kind of irreverent and very like powerful. And I just did that by just sharing my thoughts and my dreams on the internet. And sometimes it can be like risky to put yourself out there so much, but honestly, it's worked for me. And that's just how we've built it, just by organic kind of sharing.
That's really good. And I love the fact that the organic sharing is how you've built your brand. I think that's really important. It's not like you've kind of gone somewhere, kind of just paid for engagement, and then you've just got it that way. You've actually worked and get that brand together. And that's what's really important, especially when you're having community. I think for all of us can say that, having that community, because no matter whatever happens, really, you've got them behind you. And I guess that's something really important for business. And that's something definitely, hopefully, everybody here that's setting up their own business or they're going through that, hopefully they understand how important community is. So that's really great.
Yeah, I would definitely say, especially as a Black founder, focusing on building that community before product has really, really been beneficial for us, because especially with an industry like the fashion industry that's very much based on like connections and nepotism, not having that, the way that I've been able to build a successful product brand is by just attracting like minds. I would consider myself a bit of an outsider in the fashion industry. Like, I'm not, at all the hot events, because I don't want to be, but also I don't always have the access. But that hasn't stopped me from building a successful brand, because I've realized the power of just connecting with people like me. So I don't have to chase like spaces where I'm not wanted, or try to build, break down the gates with gatekeepers. I've just attracted people like me, and we're building a successful business together.
That's so great. Thank you so much. That has been an amazing talk. I guess I'm going to give it out now to the audience. If there's anyone here that has any questions that they want to ask, that'll be really great. Okay, I can see somebody at the front down here. Are there any microphones going around?
Hi, my name's Tommy, and it's so great that you've come speak to us today. Your brand is so inspiring. I just wanted to say, and ask you, what advice would you give to people who are finding it difficult to find the confidence to go out on the internet and post that they are starting a business or they're taking a new venture, because I think sometimes you can get in your head about the embarrassment, about failing. So it'd be great to hear from you for advice on that.
I mean, I think you are going to fail. You are going to look stupid. People are going to think like, oh, what are you doing? Especially if it's something that you've not done before. But that's going to happen whether you start today or whether you start in 5 years. So better to start now, make those mistakes now, look stupid now, and then in 5 years, be an expert. At the end of the day, what you really want is to know that you lived, you mattered, you built something that people could connect to. You carried out your life's passion. And how would it feel to know that you didn't do that just because a few people on the internet thought you looked silly? And also, I think that we sometimes think people are watching us or thinking about us a lot more than they are. Everyone is hustling and trying to build their own thing that hardly anyone is sitting there and like looking at your every move and judging everything you do. You just have to do it. Even for people who like don't believe in you or don't believe in your vision, they might not believe in you today, but trust me, when you like blow, when you get your first magazine feature, when they see a celebrity with your product, next thing, they're your biggest fan. Life is so fickle. I find that all I have is myself, and I owe it to myself to do every single thing that I want to do, regardless of anyone else. Thank you.
Oh, that was so good. Thank you for that. Have we got any more questions? Okay, we've got a couple more now. This is great.
Oh.
Who's got the microphone?
Oh, can I ask my question? Has I got the microphone?
She's got the microphone.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi, Fisayo.
Hi.
Absolutely love Kai. I buy your products all the time.
Thank you.
My name's Daedun. I'm an associate consultant at Microsoft. I just wanted to ask, I feel like over the past few years, there's been a really big wave of people setting up businesses and wanting to become entrepreneurs. But unfortunately, a lot of businesses, especially black businesses, when we look at the stats, they fail. So I guess I wanted to ask, what kind of traits do you think make a good business leader and someone that should set up a business versus, maybe going down the more traditional 9-to-5 route?
That's a really good question. As someone who came from a similar background, so you said you're on Microsoft, I came from like a finance background. I am really, really, really grateful for that foundation. Going to start up a business is like, everyone thinks it's sexy and everything, and it can be sometimes, but most of the times it's not. And I find that work I did at KPMG, those hours auditing and doing very like unsexy roles, built in me a work ethic that honestly I don't see that often in the creative industry. And when I hire, I love hiring people who are like ex-consulting, ex-auditing, because they just seem to understand life and work more than people who don't have that and think that it's going to be all glitz and glam. So first, the work ethic. And then I guess you need some creativity to start a business. So if you find that growing up, you were a person who just made things, sold, newspapers or whatever in your area, those types of traits always help. Like you had an eBay account and you were selling stuff from early. It helps to just be someone who was a starter upper and could make and sell things from a young age. Those traits I find have really helped me. But mostly work ethic, curiosity, and just the drive and the ability to keep going and get like pie thrown in your face, but still keep going every day. Just huge ambition and a crazy work ethic.
Have we got time for one more? I think we can get one more question in. So you get it over here, maybe? Yes, on this side.
Hi, hey Fisayo. My name's Siobhan, or Chevy, and my background is in startups and scale-ups, mostly tech. There's huge sort of societal challenges facing fashion around sustainability, supply chain, things like that. And a lot of these big fashion brands have huge teams and huge budgets to try and address these problems and still find it incredibly challenging to do so. That must feel quite overwhelming as like a smaller brand starting out. So how do you start to think about that when you're earlier on in your journey? Obviously, do not have those kinds of budgets, but you still want to think about how you're responsible, how you buy your product, how you buy your materials for your products and things like that.
Right next to that.
Great question.
The glasses.
Chevy and I went to school together. That's why I'm like smiling like a Cheshire cat. Hey, girl. It's difficult, especially as, honestly, inherently, fashion is not a sustainable business. So for me, my priority is to do all we can to be more sustainable. So that's like changing our packaging to make sure that it's compostable, or if it's plastic, then it's reusable. It's like looking for more sustainable fabric. It will never be fully sustainable because there's so much greenwashing in the industry, and I find it so funny, but funny in a bad way, when people are like, yeah, I have a sustainable fashion brand, and I'm so passionate about sustainability because honestly, I think that the most sustainable thing is to not make new clothes. So when H&M and all these brands like try and position themselves at the forefront of sustainability, I know that it's just to get more revenue. I know that it's not because they actually care. So yeah, my point is, fashion is inherently not a sustainable business. I think my responsibility is to make sure that we're doing the best we can in an industry that's already not sustainable. And the way it's to do it, we don't have the money to like be at the forefront and do all the cutting edge research, but we have partners with our manufacturing that are constantly looking into more sustainable fabric, like using more viscose, making clothes that last longer, that you can wear over and over again. Those kinds of things are not that difficult to do. So the small things are what I focus on, and hopefully, the building blocks together emerge in a more sustainable brand, and we release clothes that people wear over and over again. That's really my priority.
That's great, everybody. So I think we've kind of gone over our time, unfortunately. I just want to say, first of all, thank you to the audience for being here today. We really appreciate it. Secondly, I want to thank you to the organizers for putting on this session, especially because I know it's not tech-based exactly, but the creative industries are really important. So happy that we've been able to go and say how we feel today and talk about our industries. And finally, can we just give a big thank you to Fisayo Longe today?
Thank you.
It has been so great being here with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. If you had a question that you didn't get to ask, you can come and chat to me after
That's
this.
great. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.